Reading with your kids.
Hola, ni hao, konnichiwa, assalamu alaikum, shalom, jambo, bienvenidos. Hi, my name is Jen Lee, and this is the Reading with Your Kids podcast, coming to you from the beautiful neighborhood of Reedville and the southwest corner of Boston, Massachusetts. We are so happy that you're part of our beautiful Reading with Your Kids family. Please be sure to connect with us on social media, facebook.com/Reading with Your Kids. It's at Jedley Magic on Twitter, and it's at Reading with Your Kids on Instagram. Our guest today is Jennifer Renieris. She is going to be telling us about a buck and a puck. Jennifer will be joining us from Burlington in Ontario, Canada, and not too far away. I suppose it's not too far away from Chicago, Illinois. And we mention that because we're going to be out in Chicago at the Kids Expo February 8th and 9th, Schaumburg Convention Center, Schaumburg, Illinois. It's going to be a fantastic time. The Reading with Your Kids podcast will have a totally interactive booth where you will have a chance to find out what it's like to be a part of the Reading with Your Kids podcast. We're also going to be recording segments for future episodes of the show. You're also going to be able to experience Jedley's Totally Interactive Magic Circus. That's right, I'll be presenting my Totally Interactive Magic Show at the Kids Expo on Saturday and Sunday. It's going to be a great time. Rumor has it my beautiful wife might be there too. Who knows? Come on out. It's all happening February 8th and 9th, Schaumburg Convention Center, Schaumburg, Illinois. It's the Kids Expo. Joining us on the line right now from Burlington and Ontario, Canada, a beautiful part of the world. And it makes a lot of sense because we're going to be speaking to the author of A Buck and a Puck. Please welcome to the show, Jennifer Renieris. Jennifer, how are you?
I'm good, Jed. Thank you for taking the time to talk to me.
I love the fact that we are living in an age where it's so easy to speak to people in different parts of the world. Although Boston and Burlington, Ontario, we're not that far apart. We're extended neighbors, and it's beautiful. But it's lovely to have you here. One of the things I should mention is that on both of your children's book, A Buck and a Puck, and also Hawkeyes, you go by the pen name JLW. But here we're going to be humans, and we'll be referring to as Jennifer. Tell us about A Buck and a Puck, please.
It's a children's story. It's my second children's story. And I use animal symbolism to help to, find a creative way to teach empowering tools to children. So A Buck and a Puck, it has a hockey theme, and the animal symbolism is a buck or a deer, a male deer. And, male deers are beautiful and strong, yet they are graceful and gentle. So the symbolism is that kindness shows strength. And I integrate it with sportsmanship and the game of hockey and children, learning and loving a sport. And yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Now, I have to mention, being a hockey fan here myself and growing up and watching the big bad Bruins play, I love hockey and I love the sportsmanship, but I don't know if kindness is something that we often associate with hockey.
When you see, recently we saw Bianca Andreescu and Serena Williams play, and the graciousness shown between these elite athletes, these strong, fierce warriors, it just, it warms my heart because you see people, they're competitive, they each want to win, but they show so much class because they're building, they're being supportive of each other in the end. They're being kind to one another. And I see that in sports as well. Even in hockey, they're competitors, but you see them at the end of that, when they're, when it's the elimination round, they all shake hands in the end and show respect to one another.
Well, I guess you are right. I do love that tradition in hockey at the end of the game, especially in the playoffs when the teams line up and they all shake hands with one another. Especially after a hockey game where it can be so brutal. Even when there aren't any fights, they're out there and they're really playing hard, and there's a lot of contact. and they've moved so fast, and those guys are so huge. But it is wonderful that they can come together and shake hands at the end of the game.
I agree.
Yeah. So what inspired you to write, to become a children's writer? I know that you're a very successful businesswoman. This is a departure for you.
It is, and I love that, at my age, I'm 48, that I could try something new, and that I have that option available. So I would never discourage somebody from, extending themselves and learning a whole new area in their life, because it's been very very educational, interesting, and rewarding. Personally, I had an aha moment, and I made a little note that, how good they feel when you finally get something. I thought this would be great if I could relate it to children and to share this experience. And it was during a long Canadian winter. I started having fun with writing, and it was a lot of fun. So the first book, Hawkeyes, focuses on perspective, learning to look at a bigger picture, a different point of view, and how that can change what we see and how we feel. And then I went on to A Buck and a Puck, which is deer symbolism, kindness equals strength, and book 3 will be a Scarlet Macaw, and it will be embracing our everyday uniqueness that shines from within. So I can keep going. I could pick, we could pick lots of animals and symbolism, and I could relate it to hopefully a life lesson or an empowering tool.
Well, I love that you're choosing to talk to kids about perspective through Hawkeyes. I think it's so very, very important for us to understand that we all look at life through a different lens. Even, if we've grown up in the same neighborhood and we look alike and we even may be related, we all have different experiences that kind of shape the way we look at the world. And I think it's really helpful for adults as well as kids to kind of understand that everybody does look at things differently. And if we take the time to consider how another person might be perceiving an event or our actions, it can go a long way for us to understand each other and get along better.
It is. It really opens up, a level of freedom too, that we get to choose how we look at something. So we get to choose how we feel, and helping us engage with not just loved ones, people we work with, people we meet driving or, on the street. We don't know what everyone's going through. And I have 2 sisters. We grew up in the same house, and we each have a different perspective of our childhood. Mm-hmm. And, that's okay. That's great. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that I do when I'm teaching magic to kids is I have this one trick where I teach kids how to make a cup float in the air. And I love this trick. I love teaching this trick to little kids for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's really, really simple for the kids to do. Two, when the kids do it right, and it's simple for them to do it right, it can get a great reaction from the people that they're performing it for. But it also,
I need to learn this.
Yeah, but it also is a really, really powerful way to demonstrate that, we can perceive things. How we perceive things depends on how we're looking at it and our perspective. Because if you look at this one trick from one angle, it looks amazing. And then if I'm performing, if I just turn my body about 10 degrees from one side to the other, the kids go, "Oh, that is not impressive at all."
That's fun. I love magic.
Magic is a lot of fun, and it kind of touches the child in all of us. And I think that's what you're trying to do with your writing is kind of touch the child that's living in all of us. Certainly the kids that you wrote the books for, but I'm guessing too, you want to touch the child that still exists in the parents that'll be reading these books with their kids.
Yes, yeah, I agree 100%. The books make a difference for me, and I love being reminded, to be kind or to look at a new perspective. And I think we can all benefit from it. I've had great feedback from teachers and parents as well that are like, oh, good point.
One of the things that I wanted to chat with you about is this notion that you're expressing through A Buck and a Puck about kindness being the ultimate strength. And this is something, we're kind of, as the folks down here in the States are, I don't know if it's gearing up or trying to hide out from the upcoming presidential election.
Right.
We're hearing the opposite message from a lot of people. One of the things about Canadians, one of the things that I love about Canada, tends to be such a polite and kind society. Talk a little bit more about your message that kindness is the ultimate strength.
Well, I mean, it's not always easy, especially in this, day and age. We're disconnected. We're online. We talk to people or leave comments, and you're not actually engaging with them because you're not in person. So it's easy to be negative or flippant, like just, not even think your comment is having an effect on the way someone else feels. When, if you chose to say something kind or engaging, be positive, instead of negative in that moment, it actually it's a little more difficult, especially when we're frustrated, but it shows how strong we are on the inside. And in today's age of, it's so easy bullying exists, and especially for children to be able to stand up, or adults actually. We just had an election as well, and they are a little bit negative the way they advertise, it's adversarial.
Mm-hmm.
To teach our children to say something positive or polite instead of going for the negative.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Very, very important for our kids to kind of understand that sometimes the strongest person is the one who has the restraint and has
Mm-hmm.
the courage to listen, to truly listen to what the other person is saying.
Right. And it's, being kind's contagious. It does, resonate, and it has a rippling effect. So you notice that when you go out, if you actually engage with people and smile at them or start a conversation, we don't know how that could affect them. It might change their day. It might, and then they'll be nice to the next person and pay it forward. So I do feel, especially if somebody's upset you, it's so much more difficult to take a step back and be kind than to just lash out.
Mm-hmm.
And it's taking that moment and thinking of that, teaching that to our children, and them thinking of it can change a moment. And I believe for us will grow. It's a collective, the word I'm looking for, because we are all connected, then it's only going to expand.
Yeah, I agree, and I do believe that kindness is contagious, and
Mm-hmm.
it is something that I try to do, especially in those moments that we have, those brief interactions that we have with another person that sometimes go automatic, and you're in line at the grocery store, and you're having this interaction with somebody, and it's 5, 6, 7 minutes, and sometimes you're not even looking at the person, and it's,
Mm-hmm.
How are you? Welcome. This is how much it is. Yeah. I like to flip that around, and I just, look at the person's name tag, and hey, and they, when they're trained to say, hi, how are you? How's your day? I always go overboard and go, I am having an amazing day. It's wonderful.
I bet you catch them off guard with that.
I certainly do. Sometimes I embarrass my wife, and she doesn't like it. She, what she really doesn't like is when the a cashier might say, well, that would be 18. This just happened, and I feel it was so silly. The cashier said, well, that would be 1876. And I said, 1876? And the cashier said, yes, 1876. And he goes, that was the year I was born. And, and the cashier, wonderful, very nice young woman, said, whoa, that's so cool. Good for you. And as we're walking out the store, my wife goes, you're 147? One of the things that I think that we forget sometimes, and I think that sometimes the person that we forget to be kind to most often is ourselves.
Yes.
What do you think about that?
I agree. I feel like showing self-care, personal love, it's definitely important because we give, if our cup is full, we have more to give to the people around us. And also we set a better example of positivity and love for the people in our lives.
It is so very, very important for us to care for ourselves and to love ourselves. And it is, you're right. It's impossible to kind of put love out there unless you're taking care and taking the time to love yourself.
I agree.
Yeah. So talk a little bit more about this upcoming book, and it sounds really exciting. A macaw. I don't know if macaws are native to Canada.
No, they're not. It's the very colorful parrot, a scarlet macaw, and the symbolism is because of the colorful feathers. Each feather represents a unique quality, so it's about embracing your uniqueness that shines from within. So it's going to be about self-love.
Wonderful. I learned something interesting about macaws. They're fascinating. I think they are beautiful creatures. They can live to be about 80, 85 years old.
Yes, yeah, I read that.
Incredible. And they can also be kind of nasty. I
didn't read that. But
their bite is really, really hard. But they are.
I can imagine.
Yeah, they are beautiful creatures. It's interesting. What kind of response do you get from folks who are reading A Buck and a Puck and Hawkeyes?
I love the responses, the feedback I've been getting. Parents, teachers, caregivers. It's all been very positive. Some of the schools have used it as part of a lesson plan in helping children deal with anxiety. That was for Hawkeyes. Because in the story, Lulu's mom is traveling for work and she's learning, perspective around this part of her life that she's not happy about. So yeah, and I love when parents come up to me and tell me that their children pick the books every night at bedtime for story time. That really excites me.
I'm wondering with all of the success you've had in business and whatnot, how does it feel now that you're a children's author with that knowledge that there are families around the world that have access to your books who are spending that beautiful, intimate time at bedtime, sharing your book together?
I've never thought of that, actually. Thank you for putting that lovely visual in my head. Actually, I hadn't thought of it. It feels great knowing that people are sharing something that I created.
Yeah. Wonderful. And again, you touched on it early, but I think it's really important. You made a dramatic shift in your life I wouldn't say at a late stage in your life, because I'm at a much later stage in my life than you are. But there are a lot of people who kind of get locked in, and they've, they're not happy with their job. They're not happy with the trajectory of their life, but they've been doing it for so long. It's just second nature, and they can't seem to get out of that. What would you say to those people who are in that place? They have a dream, they'd like to do something different, but for whatever reason they feel
Right.
chained and unable to take that chance.
We get comfortable or stuck. And I would encourage people I get the courage to do it through journaling and baby steps, and then receive encouragement from my family. If somebody's interested in, you have the internet in front of you. You can research things and branch out, and why not? You don't have to take a giant leap. Like, I didn't just all of a sudden call a publisher and say, I'm going to write a book, and everything happens slowly, and you expand that muscle a little. You learn a little more, you take a few more steps, and I would definitely encourage people, because you don't know what magic is on the other side of that door, or what, the next day holds for you. So why have regrets that you didn't bother, or you could have, or you should have? I say go for it.
Absolutely.
Do something new.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think the worst thing that you can find yourself saying is woulda, coulda, shoulda.
Right. And then one day we're just not able to do anything. And
yeah. Where you mentioned the internet and folks being able to get out there and do some research and take those baby steps. If folks want to learn more about the writings of JLW and learn more about Hawkeye and A Buck and a Puck, where can they go online?
Good question. My website is jlw.author.com, and my Facebook is Jennifer Lynn. And then my Instagram is JLW Author Official. Right. www.jlwauthor.com, and all the links are off of my website, actually.
That is wonderful, wonderful. Now, the person who kind of helped arrange this interview suggested that I ask you who if the big bad Boston Bruins and the Toronto Maple Leafs meet in the finals, and I don't know if they can. I don't know how the playoff setup is set up, but if they were to meet in the 2020 Eastern Conference Finals, who would win? I don't know if I want to ask that question, because we've had such a great time today. I don't want to end it on a negative, but I will say this: whoever wins, I say that we get together and we shake hands and show that sportsmanship that you were talking about early on.
I agree 100%. I do know that Boston usually eliminates Toronto, but
well, maybe recently, but not when
they make it to the playoffs. So.
Well, I read that the Maple Leafs were always a formidable opponent when I was growing up. Back in the days when there were only 6 teams in the NHL. That's how old I am. So,
wow.
But and Jennifer goes, "Wow, she can't even imagine it."
Those are good times.
It was good times.
3 helmets.
That's right. That's right. That's right. And the goalies didn't wear any face masks, and it's I can't even I lived through it. I can't imagine it. We've had a great time reminiscing about old time hockey, and also speaking about the beautiful children's books, A Buck and a Puck, and also Hawkeyes, with the author. The pen name is JLW. Her name is Jennifer Renieris. Jennifer, thank you so much for being part of our show today.
Thank you for taking the time to talk to me, Jed. It's been a treat.
Please be sure to join us for the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast. We'll be celebrating the release of a brand new book from our friend Lori Orlinsky. That is the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast. We are so excited that we're able to introduce you to so many different authors of fantastic children's books. If you are the author of a fantastic children's book, we would love to help you introduce that book to the world. Being a guest on the Reading with Your Kids podcast, it's fun, it's easy, and it gives you the chance to tell thousands of people about your fantastic children's book. All you need to do is to go to our website, readingwithyourkids.com, click on the contact button, let us know about your great book. We will let you know the next easy steps. We want to thank the folks who made today's show so very wonderful. Of course, we want to thank our friend Jennifer Renieris. Be sure to check out Hawkeyes and also A Buck and a Puck. I also want to thank my amazing producer, Fatima Khan. Be sure to check out her blog. She publishes one every episode of the show. You can find it at readingwithyourkids.com. I want to thank my beautiful wife for all the support that she gives me. I want to thank you. There's so many reasons we want to thank you. We want to thank you for being part of our beautiful Reading with Your Kids family. We want to thank you for spreading the word about the show, letting folks know, folks in your life know about the show. So many people are sharing our tweets and sharing our posts on social media and just sending out links to the show and inviting folks to like our Facebook page. That is so helpful. And there's so many of you who have posted 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Podchaser. I've also been told by the folks over at Podchaser, especially on their platform, that you can review individual episodes of the show. That really helps our profile grow and let more and more people know about the show. And we really appreciate that. But most of all, I want to thank you for making the world a better place. And you absolutely do that every time you take the time to let your kids know that they are the most important thing in your life. And one of the great ways to do that is by reading with your kids. I'll be looking through the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast.